The government destroying jobs. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and I want to talk about an article from news.com.au that paints things a little differently to how I'm going to paint it. I want to highlight the fact that the way people vote has long-term ramifications and, well, it destroys jobs. Now, let's start off by refreshing our minds and having a look at this article that we looked at, I think, in November of last year from Timberbiz. Loggers lose their jobs as court aims to protect more possums. And in this article, in January 2020, fifth generation logger Brett Robin was featured in Victoria's Herald Sun, with Indra Koala. And we'll have a look here. Essentially what happened is, on Remembrance Day, Brett is effectively living without a job. His job is gone following Justice Melinda Richards' ruling that Vic Forest's pre-harvest surveys were inadequate and it was not doing enough to protect two possum species, greater and yellow-bellied gliders. So there you go. Vic Forest isn't doing enough, even though potentially they are. But he's lost his job. A logger's lost his job. And, well, now, other people are losing their jobs as well. Victorian company AusPOl Australian Paper stands down dozens of workers as paper production grounds to a halt. Now, there's no mention in this article written by Alex at all that logging has been disrupted in Victoria through legislative changes. Now, the logging industry has methods in place to ensure the protection of these possums. The judge ruled that it was inadequate. Do you agree with the judge? Or maybe the requirements are too onerous. What's more important, an animal or employment? I guess this is what people are voting for. They're voting for people to lose jobs. They're voting for people to lose their livelihoods. And they're voting for, jobs to get sent overseas. Because that's what will happen. So let's have a look here. Let's see how she paints the picture of this. A handful of Australians reportedly learned just 2 days before the new year that they would be starting 2023 without a job. The move has been slammed as unconscionable. Yeah, it happens. It happens. This is why wherever you're working, they're not your family, it's a job. The whole office, family, work, wife, work, husband, all that's all bullshit. They don't care about you. They care about keeping the business going. And sometimes you have to make tough calls. But we'll have a look here. There's a little bit more to the story. Last Friday, a paper company in Victoria called AusPOl Australian Paper informed 37 of its workers that they were being laid off, the union said. The layoffs are effective from January 1, meaning those workers have already lost their jobs. According to AAP, a further 120 workers are facing joblessness later this month or early next month. Mass job cuts have been looming for some time at the Merivale-based paper mill in rural East Victoria, following a Supreme Court ruling and a timber shortage. There you go. This is what's happening. I guess, inner cities, people who don't understand the implications of how they're voting for all these greens, these protective requirements. It destroys jobs. And we need paper. We need timber. And the possums can be protected. AusPOl reportedly employed 850 workers at its Merivale mill, according to the Weekend Times, or the Weekly Times, prior to the mass job cuts, and is the Latrobe Valley's biggest employer. This just can destroy entire communities, these type of things. The workplace was reportedly devastated by a court decision that crippled its ability to make paper. The Australian Manufacturer Workers Union Assistant National Secretary Printing, what a title that is, Florian Cassin, was outraged at the job cuts as well as the late notice. It's always women in these unions. Notice that? The majority of members in these unions now are women. I think the average unionist in Australia is a middle-aged woman. It's not the working class blokes that you think of back in the past. It's civil servants, people with desk jobs. So just remember this. It's unconscionable that AusPOl management have sacked 37 workers with only 2 days' notice in the middle of the holiday season. Well, they got holiday off. That's part of their period. It happens, guys. The decision comes less than a month after AusPOl workers... Here we go. Here's the reason. Look at this. AusPOl workers successfully defended their rights and protections through industrial action after AusPOl management tried to cut wages and conditions. So the business is going to shit. Court orders limit their ability to even do business. There's issues with even getting a supply of timber. And the management wanted to cut wages and conditions, maybe to keep the business going, maybe to keep people employed. But the unions would have no bar of that. They successfully defended their rights and protections. So I think the people who lost their jobs 2 days of New Year's Eve, I bet you they're happy, eh? The 37 people. What would you rather, a job or rights? This is the problem here. The unions need to come to the negotiating table as a sensible party, but they can't do that. Their whole value they add is getting things for workers. They're rent seekers. They just seek on the back of other people's work. They don't actually add anything of value. They just create a cartel. And look at this. We're losing jobs. People are losing jobs. She slammed the company, pointing out it had made a fortune during the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah, that's businesses make money. That's normal. You got to do it. Doesn't mean the business will always make money. It's unbelievable that they turn around now and treat their workers like this. AusPOl must work with unions and the state government to ensure these workers have the support they need. In early November, government-owned timber business Vic Forest lost the Supreme Court case, which found it was not doing enough to protect endangered wildlife, including 2 possum species. As a result, the company was ordered to scale back its timber harvesting in parts of rural Victoria. Vic Forest was a massive supplier for AusPOl Australian paper, and they've been unable to obtain the necessary materials since for paper to be created. Now, I would say most people don't give a shit about the workers here that are losing their jobs, particularly all the inner-city voters. They'll just say, oh, we need to protect the possums. And that's Australia now. That's what people are calling for. The fact that you actually want people to actually have a job and a livelihood and some self-respect, that's so old-fashioned. Paper, ooh, yuck. Yeah, they'll just buy it from overseas. This is why jobs wind up overseas, guys. This is why manufacturing doesn't happen in Australia. After the court order, the paper producer flagged that job cuts were a very real possibility. Unfortunately, limited stand-downs may become necessary, and we are currently consulting on this with our team members, AusPOl Australian paper said in a statement 10 days after the court decision, per the Weekly Times. Yeah, so this is not unexpected. Our priority is to continue to keep our team members fully updated on the situation as it develops further. As a large Latrobe Valley employer, secure certified wool supply is crucial to AusPOl Australia Paper's Maryvale operations. AusPOl Australian Paper ran out of material to make white sheets of paper on December 23rd. It hasn't resumed operation since the production remains on halt indefinitely. Vic Forest has appealed the Supreme Court decision. News.com contacted them for a comment. A worker at the mill, Justin Flenley, has spoken out in the wake of mass layoffs. I don't want a redundancy or job subsidy. I just want to keep my job, he told the ABC. Last year was plagued with massive job cuts. Okay, she's going through here all the others. Yeah, I mean, there we go. So let's have a bit of a talk about this, guys. So one question of interest is, why is one forestry supplier having such a stranglehold on the market? Why isn't there more diversity? Well, it's Victoria, of course. They're privatising everything again. Or sorry, no, they're not. They're nationalising, well, not really nationalising, statising. Well, the state is taking control of, well, the private sector. There you go. I cannot imagine any inner city Melbourne Greens voter would be at all disappointed by this. This is what people are voting for. This is Australia now. More and more left, more protections for animals than people to even get their jobs. It's a little silly, but maybe I'm just out of touch. What do you reckon, guys? Do you think people will connect the dots? And look at this, the unions bitching and moaning, but they weren't coming to the table. If a business is dying, you can't have all the perks you always had. That's the reality of it, or you get fired. We'll have to see if this business is around in a year's time. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Check out my other channels, Heise BIM, and, well, I've got to rebrand that, Heise Does. I'll do that later. And you can support us financially on YouTube or Patreon using our referral links, buying our pocket squares, or calling us if you need an architect. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. and I'll see you in the next episode of HeiseSays. Bye for now.